Alright guys, what's up team? Good morning, hope you guys are doing well. Today, it is Monday. We got some news coming out today. We got ISM services PMI later on. Markets are slightly down, not a huge amount. Hold on. There we go. You can see the NASDAQ here. You can see Nvidia starting to push up, but it's still red on the day. Same thing with like Palantir here on the right side. NASDAQ's at 21,277. It's mostly been sideways. A couple news stories to talk about this morning. The president's announcement to double tariffs on imported steel and aluminum to 50% starting Wednesday reignited fears, impacting market sentiment. U.S. companies saw significant pre-market gains like Cleveland-Cliffs, Steel Dynamics. Tesla dropped 2.7%, reacting to strong May numbers for deliveries from China EV makers. Nvidia shares are down after renewed tensions between U.S. and China, which could impact the company's revenue. People are waiting mostly specifically today for ISM manufacturing PMI. We got JOLTS, the job report tomorrow, and then we got non-farm payrolls and unemployment on Friday. We also have Jerome Powell speaking this week, today, specifically at 1 p.m. So, bonds are 10-year Treasury yield currently sitting at about 4.45%. If we take a look at the 10-year here, let me make sure it's right. Hold on. Yeah, 4.45, 4.43%. Kind of a flat weekend. I mean, since May 30th, Friday, we're basically right where we were. Maybe up a little bit in bond yields from Friday, but not too bad. Market started to push up a little bit, though. We did break out of this range short term just now, so we'll see if we hold over this range. Well, let me drink some coffee. Yeah, Palan's here up crazy amounts, up to over 130. I appreciate it, Sam. All right, so the first week of June is expected to be relatively busy in the U.S. IG primary market with around $30 billion of issuance anticipated by dealers, according to Bloomberg. Do we have some earnings today? I don't think we do. We might have had some small ones. Let me make sure. No, we got Campbell's Soup. That's it. That's basically it. All right, that's fair. So we do have the Fed decision coming out next week. The odds of a rate cut are even lower now. So the odds of a rate cut as of today, way down here at 1.3% likelihood of a cut. 1.3%, which means that it's pretty improbable that we're going to cut rates. Pretty improbable. 1.3%. Odds of a pause are at 99% basically. We can look in July and see it's still 76% likelihood that we're going to pause rates, 23.5% likelihood that we're going to pause. We can look at September. September's still showing almost 60% chance of a cut by September. So we'll see if we get that. What do you guys think? Let's do a poll. Let's check it out. The Powell rumor. Yeah, so rumors have been circulating online suggesting that Jerome Powell might resign imminently. These are unsubstantiated and have been widely dismissed by financial analysts who don't necessarily believe it. The speculation appears to have originated from social media platforms, specifically X, where users claim that Powell would step down on June 1st, leading to immediate interest rate cuts. Despite the buzz, there's been no official confirmation. And I mean, today is June 2nd, so if he was going to step down, it would be yesterday, and it's not yesterday anymore. It's today, and he's not stepping down. Market prediction platforms such as Polymarket reflect skepticism. The odds on that have remained at 12% or less. I know the president's criticized him for not lowering interest rates and expressed a desire to replace him. Although the president has come out basically saying that he's not going to get rid of Powell. So I don't know if I believe this, but we'll see. Jerome Powell actually speaks today at 1 o'clock. We're going to stream it. So yeah, Jerome Powell actually speaks today. Today we have ISM manufacturing PMI data. Yeah, so the Europe said that they're prepared to impose countermeasures if talks fail, according to a spokesperson. They strongly regret U.S. decision to raise steel tariffs. So some pessimistic stuff regarding tariffs this morning is what I'm seeing. Yeah, no, it's going to be subject to change, Nick. All right, let's do a poll. Will Jerome Powell stay through his term as Fed chairman? Yes or no? Vote on that poll. Let me know what you guys think. I think it ends next year. It ends mid next year. So mid 2026 is when it ends. All right, chat. All right, Chad. So, yeah, I mean, we got rumors of Powell retiring this morning. No credible evidence as of yet. This week we got unemployment and non-farm payrolls. Today we have ISM manufacturing PMI. Yeah, so China says U.S. breached trade deal as a response. So U.S. Treasury yields moved higher this morning as China struck back at the U.S. over specific Geneva trade deal violations. The 10-year yield was up over 1%, or more than 1 basis point, to 4.434%. The 2-year was less than a basis point higher, under 4%. 30-year, 3 basis points higher at 4.967%. And what is this, bro? It's supposed to be instrumentals. Hold on. There we go. Sorry, chat. But yeah, so China refuted the allegations that the president made last week, saying that they kind of went back on their Geneva deal that they had. They also accused the U.S. of violating trade terms. The two countries previously agreed to a 90-day pause on most tariffs, but the clash has caused some worries and concerns over the future of this deal. On top of this, the president said Friday that tariffs will double on steel imports to 50% starting this Wednesday. The administration is also facing a legal battle in the U.S. Court of International Trade after they invalidated many of his tariffs last Wednesday. A day later, however, a federal appeals court granted the pause that effectively reinstated the duties for the time being. They said, quote, Deutsche said, quote, it's really hard to keep up or predict what's going to happen on trade at the moment, and that's before we factor in the full ramifications from the court ruling last Thursday night and then the subsequent brief stay of execution for them on appeal, Deutsche analysts said in a note. For now, it seems likely that the tariff uncertainty will linger for a time ahead, even if we're still likely past the peak aggressiveness of U.S. policy, end quote. So that is what's going on in markets today. Markets are still pretty flat. We do have a whole bunch of stuff going on this week. We've got like ISM, services, manufacturing, PMI data. We have JOLTS job report. We got non-farm employment data coming out on Wednesday. We got Jerome Powell speaking today. We have non-farm payrolls, unemployment on Friday. We got jobless claims, unemployment on Thursday. So we honestly got a lot of stuff this week, and then next week's even busier because we have CPI inflation data next week. So interesting time for markets, and yeah, we'll see what happens. Looking at our poll numbers, 82% of people think yes. I tend to think he will as well. I think Jerome Powell's going to stick around. And again, like, look, I'm not one that just agrees or disagrees with any politician. It doesn't really matter to me. My own bias fears inflation more than anything else. Prices have gone up way too much, and I get it. Like, the president wants a hot economy. Like, the presidents typically have a number of different bragging points that they use for their term. One of them is a hot economy. And how do you get a hot economy? You stimulate the economy. You lower interest rates. You know, that typically creates a hot economy. That's why the president wants so desperately for rates to come back down, is because he wants a hot economy under his watch. The issue, though, and the reason the Federal Reserve, at least the reason they're saying that they're not lowering rates now, is because they worry about inflation, which is also what I worry about. I don't want to see prices go up anymore. We've had a weird 5 years in markets, chat. In economics, we've had a weird 5 years. We've had lockdowns. We've had all kind of stuff happen that caused inflation to get much, much worse. And, you know, but I also, like, look, if rates go down, I'm not going to be too upset. I just don't want to see prices spike. You know, that's my bias. So I'm kind of neutral on it, to be honest. I'm somewhere in the middle. Yeah, look at an NVIDIA here. NVIDIA at 134s. Here's Tesla. Tesla at 340s. Right here, 340s. We'll see if that holds or what. Yeah, I heard gold's flying up. Let's take a look at gold. Wow, look at gold. Yeah, gold's up a lot. I mean, it's all relative, though. You got to see, gold has been basically sideways since May 20th. So gold has basically been sideways for, you know, a week and a half, 2 weeks now. But gold did break out a little bit this morning, so gold is up. Oil prices rise despite OPEC Plus production increase. So oil prices approximately rose 3% at the start of this week, with Brent crude approaching $65 a barrel, despite OPEC Plus announcing a significant production increase to 411,000 barrels per day for July. Analysts attribute this to recent stuff going on overseas and foreign policy moves. Yeah, gold prices are higher for a number of different reasons. One of them is geopolitical tensions, conflict news, the double tariffs on steel and aluminum, 50% heightened global uncertainty. It's caused people to seek safe haven assets like gold. Weaker U.S. dollar. The U.S. dollar's declined to a 6-week low amid renewed trade tensions. So if we take a look at the dollar index here, the dollar index is falling back down. It's now under 100 still. It's at 98.70s. And with the dollar going down, people flock towards gold, of course. That's kind of something that's going on. Central bank purchases. So central banks worldwide have been increasing their gold reserves, contributing to upward pressure on gold. It reflects a shift towards gold as a hedge against economic uncertainties. I don't know if that's a shift. I think we've always kind of been there, but we're back to that now, so that's good. Investors, we have a little bit of weak investor demand in a lot of stuff like stocks and bonds experiencing volatility. Investors are turning to gold as a more stable investment. And so, yeah, that's why gold, if you look at it, bottom right chart here, gold's up a lot today. But it was in a range for the last week and a half. So all-time highs for gold are at around 35s, I believe. Almost 35 even. Yeah, 35.09, 35.10 roughly, all-time highs for gold. So we'll see if that holds and continues there. Hey, baby. How you doing? All right, guys. Sorry, my wife came in here to talk to me. Carol's up this morning. But yeah. Interesting day of markets here. Let's talk about it. Let's break it all down. So, yeah, so Tesla dropped 1.7% today, affected by big deliveries overseas in China for EV deliveries in May. That's influencing markets. You got the oil news. All right, guys, NASDAQ still pushing up, and we recently funded this account in the new Top Step dashboard. We have another funded account or two in the other dashboard that we have, but yeah, gold went up overnight because yields went up. Yields went up because the dollar, and the NASDAQ went. The latter was caused by what analysts discovered hidden in the big beautiful bill. Explain that, Sam. What did they discover? Yeah, so it's saying the biggest movers of the day, Cleveland Cliffs. Yeah, Cleveland Cliffs gap up. STLD's gapping up. Nucor is gapping up. EV Tesla down 1.7. NEO flat really. XPEV Moderna up almost 5%, but kind of pulling back a little bit. BPMC. Yeah, gold. Yeah, so I'm sorry. I'm trying to highlight all the stuff going on in markets. Okay, so again, in stock news, XPEV's gapping up, NIO's gapping up in the EV sector. Tesla is down a little bit, almost 2% today after bad or good delivery numbers for other companies overseas in China. We got Cleveland Cliffs on some news. It's up almost 30%. We've got Steel Dynamics up. We got NUE, which is up. Yeah. Yeah, Palantir's testing 130s now. It's up to over 130s. That's down slightly on the day so far. Yeah. All right, so we got a little dip in the NASDAQ. Gold's still pushing up. Palantir still up. Again, today we have ISM manufacturing PMI at 10. Jolts tomorrow at 10. Non-farm payrolls, unemployment on Friday at 8:30. Am I into anime? Not really. I watched Dragon Ball Z as a kid and like Pokemon as a kid, and I played the Pokemon video games, and I watched Dragon Ball Z a lot. I never got into anything else. Like I was more into like video games and skateboarding and stuff. You know. CoreWeave. Yeah, Bitcoin down to 105, still doing okay. Yeah, I'm looking this up, Sam. Yeah, so gold breaking highs recently. Again, it got up to 33.85 so far this month. Are you talking about this contempt? Specific provision in the bill that could impact the judiciary's ability to enforce its orders, raising questions about the balance of power. Could weaken the judiciary's power to hold government officials accountable, affecting and allowing them to ignore court orders without consequence. Are you talking about that one? Or is there a different one? No, I was never into Yu-Gi-Oh! Again, like I said, my anime interest stopped at basically Dragon Ball Z. Maybe if you want to call Pokemon one. I was into Pokemon when I was like a kid, you know. Yeah, I never got into Yu-Gi-Oh. Sorry, brother. Yeah, Bitcoin down to 105s roughly. We're going to try to day trade this here. Let's try it. You know, we're going to switch to our other account just because I want to get into like the best trades in this account that we can. I might buy this dip just slightly here. Hold on. All right, we're going to buy this dip. Maybe add a little bit to it as it dips down. See if we can get something good. Use a risk level in this instance of about 54s. But actually, we're in one contract, so we might add a little bit deeper into this. Yeah, so we're going to add a couple contracts down. All right, that's it. We're going to stop right here, see if we rebound back up here. All right, so we scaled out of this mostly so far here today. We're going to see if we can ride this up a little bit more with this one contract. We could hold the rest break even and see what else we want to do with it. We gave it a chance to run. It just kind of pulled back quick, but we'll see if it holds. Are you talking about the one where it empowers U.S. Treasury to identify countries implementing taxes considered discriminatory against U.S. businesses such as digital services? All right, there we go. All right, we're going to go ahead and cut that there. We caught a nice little bounce. Small little green trade on my funded account. We'll see if we can keep building some profits. All right. All right, chat. So I'm hanging out here. I bought the dip in markets. I'm looking for some other big news that comes out, but seems a little quiet and boring here for me. All right, Chad. So we did get a little rebound here. We're at 275s right now. I should have maybe held this position. Powell speaking at 1 o'clock today. Uranium, Bitcoin pulling back. Yeah, gold's flying up, of course. Look at gold, man. Broke all-time highs again. You're just going to get chopped up. I would have bailed on it too, maybe. Yeah. I bought the little dip. See if we get a quick little bounce here. If it dips down to the 200 exponential right here at 250, I don't mind buying that either. But, like, I'm going to wait for that. We'll see. I'm just going to wait for that. Yeah, I'm on Top Step. If you want to check out Top Step, I'll put the link up. Good way to help support the channel if you want to help support. If you want to learn to day trade, just don't fund your own account risking thousands of your own dollars. It just doesn't make sense. You're probably going to lose it if it's your first time day trading. Most day traders lose their first few accounts. This is just objectively true. And so limiting your risk with something like Top Step and learning how to trade in a structured environment just makes sense. Like, they give you a 50K demo. It's $50 a month subscription. Learning how to day trade that way, kind of like a boot camp. You got to follow their rules. You got to pass their test to get funded. And if you do, you get funded 90% split once you're funded, which is similar to funding your own account, but the risk is $50 a month versus risking 5, 10, 20, 30 grand. It just makes sense. If you want to check it out, here's the link. It's the futures market. So the futures market, you can day trade the S&P, the NASDAQ, the Dow, the Russell, gold, some currencies. Patterns are incredibly similar to any day trading pattern you might get used to. And most pro day traders day trade futures. And if you want to check it out, understand all this stuff on screen. I can't guarantee anything. I'm not an investment professional. I'm not liable if you lose. Always make your own assessment. Trade smart. Can't guarantee anything. Not an investment professional. Don't copy me. We got Palantir up here. This is Palantir right here at the top. I don't know if you guys can see that, but Palantir, man, it's at 130s, but it's still looking pretty strong. Yeah, I'm trying to see. There's some rumor going around that Jerome Powell's going to step down. This is from a lot of different sources, too. The rumor of Jerome Powell stepping down sparks market fear, but no official confirmation yet. Some experts believe that crypto will see a parabolic run if Fed chairman resigns. Why? Like, okay, look, I get it. People want rate cuts. Bro, everybody here should fear inflation, dude. Everybody here should fear inflation. Like, I get it. You want economic stimulus. I understand. You want markets to thrive and be hot, hot, hot. You know, I get it. The problem is that prices have gone up 3 or 4x what they were in 2019. That's not sustainable. You don't really want it like you think you want it, especially if you're self-employed. I'm over here self-employed. I don't want to see prices double. Y'all shouldn't either. You know? Like, be smart. Don't just, like, the president just, like, look, I'm not hating on him. He just wants economic stimulus because he wants a hot economy as a bragging point to his administration. He wants the economy to thrive. Okay, and you might think you want that too. I promise you probably want price stability more than you want to be able to afford things. And what do you think is going to happen if we get more economic stimulus? We get rate cuts. Prices are going up, you know, in a much more profound way than they're going up right now at 2.5% a year or whatever. So just be careful what you ask for here. Again, I'm pretty neutral. I'm look, if we could cut rates, not do QE, and do like small little 25 basis point, like 0.25% rate cuts every other meeting, I'm neutral on that. I'm okay with that. All right. And I think, honestly, especially in the landscape of the tariffs, it depends on how much stability we have regarding tariffs. And I don't know if this weekend's the best weekend to argue it, because I think over the weekend we have some things that increased the odds of tariff fears and increased tariff fears over the weekend. And so the reason Jerome Powell says he's waiting to cut rates, you know, regardless of whether I agree with him or not, is because of the inflation worries from the tariffs. Like, he's worried the tariffs are going to spike inflation. And then if interest rates are low and the economy starts to heat up as well, it's going to be worse. I'm neutral. I think, honestly, tariffs could do both. They can make the economy weak as well as cause inflation problems. And so, you know, I don't know. I'm kind of neutral on it, to be honest. But I think it's an interesting subject. We'll see what happens. I don't think it's time for QE. QE is really what's going to make inflation get worse. Like, rate cuts bad. Rate cuts are bad for inflation. QE is really bad for inflation. Like, printing money, you just got to be careful. Just be careful. What are the chances of Powell cuts and resigns today? Pretty freaking low. I did a poll here. Most people agree with me. Only about a quarter of people think he's not going to stay through term next year, mid-2026. All right, I'm going to go ahead and buy this dip again with one micro contract here. This is a funded account on Top Step. We'll add to it if it pulls back some. I really wanted to buy down to like 50, but we just didn't quite get it. There we go. I'd like a little bit more here. We got to bounce. I'm trying to bet on the market being choppy and sideways, and so we're at the bottom of the range. I'm trying to buy it here, but don't copy me. Not an investment professional. No idea what I'm talking about. Don't copy me. We got to watch gold a little bit as well here. Gold pushing up, climbing higher towards all-time highs. Yeah, I've told people my fear more than anything is inflation. It's not that I'm siding with anybody or doing anything. Like, people get so emotionally attached to, like, politics. Well, this ain't good. I don't like that. I'm going to cut it. But people get so emotionally attached. I'm basically flat on the day still. People get so emotionally attached to like, different political figures. You got to understand, none of this freaking matters, bro. All right, so we are seeing, like, a pretty fast decline here. Dollar is crashing without QE. Imagine with QE. Yeah, I mean, there's risks for sure. And that's what people have to understand. Like, I'm not one that's just going to jump on the bandwagon of like, yeah, rate cuts. You know, because I don't think we really need rate cuts. I think the market's different right now. I think the labor market has been incredibly resilient. And, you know, it's not something in which we need to stimulate it through interest rates. Most of the drops that we're getting are fears, like fearful things from tariffs. Like, markets are going down mostly on tariff fears. So if we had like, yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think it's nuanced. Like GDP was negative for the initial estimate data, and the revision data was slightly positive, right? What was the revision data last week for GDP? It came out last week. Let me look. GDP data showed up at minus 0.2%. So it was slightly negative GDP, which, you know, in that regard, you could argue, hey, let's go ahead and stimulate the economy. I get it. You just want to be careful, though, here, man. Like, it's a slippery slope, and it's nuanced for sure. I guess this is just revision data too, so like GDP could change. Yeah, so we're right around the 200 exponential. Look at Palantir pull back. I'm looking at some news that just came out, but a lot of people watching AMD, Nvidia. When's AMD earnings? Let me look this up. I think we already had AMD. AMD's in August. Okay, so we got time. All right, so in a Reuters poll, the Bank of Canada And a Reuters poll, the Bank of Canada is going to hold overnight rate at 2.75 on June 4th. Say 20 out of 26 economists, 6 out of 26 say cut, 17 out of 23 say Bank of Canada cut overnight rate at least twice more this year. So Canada's cutting rates. I'm not really super familiar with what the Canadian economy is doing, though, to be completely honest here. Campbell Soup posted earnings. Is it really? Is Canada's economy there? Let me see. All right, what's Canada's GDP the last two? All right, in the first quarter of 2025, Canada's GDP grew at an annualized rate of 2.2%, modest acceleration compared to previous quarters, 2.1%. The second quarter's growth is currently estimated to be around 2%. Yeah, it's not in a recession. Is Canada in a recession right now? I don't think so. No. Where's the negative GDP? If Canada's in a recession right now, where's the negative GDP? All right, look at this big spike we had here at the 200 exponential. I did make a little bit on this spike. We're up about a little bit under $100. All right, this song, I just can't do it. I don't know what's going on with this song. All right, we have the check balance here. Gold still looking good. Palantir bouncing here. Again, we got to take a look at Nvidia. Nvidia at 134s. 134.50s. Yeah. Growth is low, inflation is low. Okay. Apple huge green. I don't see a huge green candle for Apple. Oh, we got ISM manufacturing data at 10 a.m. that we're going to cover, of course. ISM manufacturing data. It's important. Yeah, I'm looking at the breaking news. It's kind of a slow. Eli Lilly presents first clinical data in its investigational next-gen FRA targeting ADC and platinum-resistant ovarian cancer at the 2025 annual ASCO meeting. MicroStrategy purchased 705 Bitcoins at an average of 106.5 thousand, totaling $75 million. Again, MicroStrategy purchased over 700 Bitcoin. In the week ending June 1st at an average of 106,495, totaling $75 million. So MicroStrategy still buying up Bitcoin here. Looking at our poll numbers, 76% say yes, 24% say no. Yeah, I see the rumors. I don't know if I necessarily believe them, but who knows, man. You never know. Well, here's the thing that I noticed. Dustin says, sometimes I feel like all the numbers are just made up. This is what I notice. Anybody that's wrong about, like, if they have a story in their head, a lot of it can be, like, politically induced. So, like, if it's an election year and one side's like, we got the greatest economy ever, and the other side's like, no, you don't. You've got the worst economy ever. And then GDP shows a strong economy. Well, some of those people are going to be like, those numbers are lies, right? Nobody screams lies more than somebody that's wrong. And so what I see here, and I'm not saying all the numbers aren't, I'm not saying some of the numbers aren't nonsense, right? What I'm saying is that it's really easy to discredit the numbers if you want a different thing to be true. And this is something that I see pretty consistently on both sides of the political spectrum, is that people will be like, yeah, we're in a recession. And I'll be like, GDP's 2.3% right now, brother. You know, that's not recession GDP. And they'll be like, oh, well, that's a made up number. It's like, okay. All right. Like, whatever. You know, people have the stories in their head. Again, a lot of them are politically induced. I just try to stay neutral and look at the data, and, you know, it's all love here. But yeah, we'll see if we get a pullback. We got a bounce here at the 200 exponential. Yeah, Powell speaks at 1 o'clock today. Again, I don't know if he's going to say anything regarding the economy, but he does speak at 1 o'clock today. We'll see. Yeah, so Powell speaks at the Federal Reserve Board's International Finance Division 75th Annual Conference in Washington, D.C. We also have Kugler and Cook. Some of these are at the Fed Listens event, which can sometimes be big. And remember, on the 18th, we got the Fed meeting. All right, so JP Morgan CEO Diamond says U.S. deficit and debt is a big deal via Fox interview. So this just happened. Yeah, so JB Diamond, I don't think it's going to influence things too much, but... All right, chat. We're up to 21.27s. Bounced right there at the 200 exponential. Again, MicroStrategy still buying up Bitcoin. Gold's flying up today. Most things are slightly red, I would say, in markets. ISM manufacturing PMI data coming out today. It's expected at 48.5%. Last time was 48.7%. So ISM manufacturing PMI coming out today. We also have like some other Fed speakers. We got Jerome Powell at 1. We got Lori Logan at 10:15. We got Austin Goolsbee at 12:45. Tomorrow we have Jolts. Last time showed up at 7.2 million. Jolts will be interesting. And then we got Bostic and Cook at the Fed Listens event on Wednesday. But I don't know how much that's going to move things. Maybe next week we got CPI inflation and PPI inflation data. I mean, I like Bitcoin. Yeah, you might be right, Dustin. Again, I'm not saying, like, I'm sure there's some numbers that are nonsense. But who knows, man. Yeah, we're going to try to trade this morning. Let's see if we get a dip buy or what. Yeah, so it's not really like there's no surprise Powell speech today. This thing was scheduled last week. I saw this last week. It's opening remarks. All right, I might buy this dip right now though. Let's try it. Here, let me show you. There we go. I'm gonna buy this dip. See if we can add to it. Let's see if we can add a little bit more here, up to maybe 5 contracts. We're green on the day. Like a decent amount. So I just want to buy into that previous support, which is like right here. And then hold. That's 5 contracts. We'll leave it at that. Yikes, dude. We're still green on the day, but not as much. That's a big red candle all of a sudden. I'm going to lower my size here just to protect it. See what we're going to do with this last little baby amount of contracts. Amgen shows survival advantage. Okay, we got some bio stuff coming out. All right, so we held on to most of our profits from this trade. I'm going to go back to just one contract here because it went too far against me. So we're still green on the day, at least a little bit. Hold on to the rest, see if we can go back to more green, but still green. That's good. Oof. I'm going to cut it here. It might continue up, but yeah, we just had this big red candle. The market's very flat, though. I don't feel like getting chopped out too much. We're still green on the day. We got a cushion. I'm going to wait. You know, again, rumors this morning of Jerome Powell resigning. You know, originally they said June 1st. According to a lot of X users, they said June 1st, Powell's resigning. That was yesterday, not today. No official confirmation. Fed keeps rates steady. Fed has been, like, basically keeping rates steady for the last few months. Speculation on Fed rate cuts rises with resignation. People are also saying like Bitcoin might run up on this news. I don't know, man. You just got to be careful here. Yeah, a bunch of crypto people said just in rumors are circulating Jerome Powell will resign on Monday and the current administration plans on lowering interest rates. If this happens, prepare for a parabolic run. Okay, but here's the question, though. Even if they got rid of Powell, how is the current administration going to lower interest rates? Are they just going to say, I'm the Fed now? This is my Fed? Of course not. You know, they would have to appoint somebody, and then that person would have to do an emergency cut. And that's just not about to happen. Not that I think of. If it did, it would be chaos. But I don't think it's going to happen. I think that's a ridiculous rumor right now. But maybe I'm wrong, and maybe they do this. I don't freaking know. I just don't think this is going to happen. You know how crypto is, man. Crypto will have like targeted fake releases of news to try to pump and dump different assets, right? Like crypto will have some like, and so they'll get in big, put out a fake news story in a bunch of different accounts, pump up Bitcoin, sell, and then the rumor comes out that it's fake and then it drops back down. This is a very common thing that you see in crypto, honestly, but it's just probably not going to happen. Yeah, I mean, anything could happen, I guess. That's true. Yeah, I just don't think this is going to happen. I think, you know. What's up, Faye? Bear market. What's up, BM? Yeah, I mean, we never know. I should have held my long here. I would have made money, but that's all right. Kind of very, we're pretty choppy right now. And again, we do have Jerome Powell today sometime, but it's much later. Executive order. What if Powell raises rates and resigns? I would laugh at that, you know. I'm pretty sure the rates would just get brought right back down, though, you know. But that would be a little petty of him. 100 basis point rate hike. You know. I would laugh, though. Probably. And then maybe cry afterwards. Yeah, I don't think it's going to happen. Sorry, Paul, let me pull up Discord, brother. I don't even think I pulled up Discord just today. All right, so the current administration has engaged Palantir Technologies, a data analytics firm, to develop a comprehensive database that integrates multiple types of personal data from various Fed agencies, including tax filings, student debt, Social Security, bank accounts, medical claims, and immigration statuses. This initiative has sparked a lot of discussion and concern regarding privacy and government surveillance. But the current administration contracting Palantir for data. A lot of people have also been talking about Applied Digital, APLD. And you can kind of see Applied Digital's up some today. It's at 747s this morning, 747s. We also had, as of yesterday, the president says he expects a call with China's president this week, according to CNBC, according to White House senior advisor Hassett. All right, so people are talking about how JP Morgan CEO needs to resign. JP Morgan just said that their CEO succession is several years away. He also, CEO Diamond says U.S. deficit and debt is a big deal in a Fox News interview. So, yeah, oil prices are up despite the production hike as well. The other big news again this morning is that the current president accused China of violating the Geneva deal and revoked student visas, and then now China has threatened to do the same back to us, basically. In a statement from the China Ministry of Commerce, it vowed, quote, discriminatory restrictive measures. Or no, it vowed to fight back over what it called discriminatory restrictive measures by the U.S. So, and again, tariff fears are definitely back up a little bit today with all the stuff going on. A lot of people are fearful of everything and all this stuff, so it's just a different market. It's weird. Yeah, do me a favor, bump that like button, hit the subscribe button. We appreciate the love. Yeah, today at 8:30. Let me make sure we don't have anything going on today at 8:30. I don't think we do, but let me check just to be safe. We got bond auctions in Europe. Most of the big stuff comes out later today, though, to be honest. But look how sideways we are. I mean, here's the trend. Like, we got an upward, like, trend line here. But we'll see if we continue. The markets were really flat for Sunday yesterday. Like, NASDAQ markets mostly flat. Although we did have some big drops yesterday. Like, look at this big pullback. I'm guessing this was like the tariff stuff going on right here. But we did have some big pullbacks and drops, and now we're mostly flat. Gold, again, gold has been pushing up, breaking recent highs up to 33.84. Look at gold. Gold's right at the all-time high, or not the all-time highs. Recent highs. The all-time highs are at 3,500 or so, way up here. We got to get over this 34.50 level first, though. But it's trying. It's trying to get up there. And again, now we're kind of pulling back some here. We'll see what we do, though. And then later on today, we got ISM manufacturing data at 10. Let's see what that looks like also. We got Jerome Powell later this morning. Or we got later. He's like later this afternoon at 1 o'clock. The news is a little light. I mean, we got JP Morgan CEO talking about stuff. Here's a little dip. I could buy this pullback, I guess, but all right, so Japanese equity funds posted a record loss of 11.8 billion in net outflows last week. This has brought the 4-week moving average of outflows to $4 billion, an all-time high. Investors are worried about rapidly rising long-dated Japanese government bonds were behind the outflows. Investors withdrew 5.1 billion from U.S. stock funds as well, all while global equity funds saw almost 10 billion in net outflows, the most this year. Investors are taking profits after a sharp market recovery. So that's scared a lot of people. And we've seen like weirdness in bond yields. Look at this drop. Something just happened here. This is most likely some type of catalyst. Let me make sure though. I almost want to short it. I got to see if it's a catalyst though. Let me see. There's a big drop that just happened. Yeah, I should have shorted this maybe, but the SOFR rate showed up about 20 minutes ago. It's been a pretty quiet morning, but look at this drop. I'm sure this is going to spike gold higher here. Yeah, look at this drop. Something looks like it's going on, but who knows, man. Maybe it's just a big red candle. I would say this is probably one of the bigger ones so far in the last few hours. Look at this candle. I just want to short this, though. Let's try it. We'll short it right at the 200 EMA, see if we reject up here. We got 3 micro contracts. They're pretty small, but we'll see if we reject and go back down. There we go. Take a little piece off there. Hold the last little 2 pieces. There we go. We'll take another little piece off, and then we'll hold the last one to see if it really breaks down here. I'm still looking up to see if we got any news related to this. Michael Saylor. Yeah, we already got that. How about Michael Saylor? Gold broke gold broke highs of the day again. Got up to 33.87s, 33.87s. Again, I'm looking up other major news sources, and I don't see anything that might cause this. So maybe we're just waiting. Yeah, we're streaming Powell this morning, or this afternoon. Yeah. Yeah, we will, for sure. All right, so we've already made a little bit of money on this trade. We got 3 contracts. We're now only holding 1 of them. I'd love to see a pushback down, though. Like a nice little breakdown after this test. Here we go. Gold's still pushing up. Look at that. That's nice. All right, we're going to go to cover that right there. All right, so we got this little rejection here at the 200 exponential. That worked really well. And now we're out. Yeah, I mean, if Jay Powell does resign today, which I think is a very low probability, people are speculating that Bitcoin's going to fly up. But who knows, right? Like, people are speculating Bitcoin's going to make some big move here. We could have held this. Look at this breakdown. I feel like something happened, though, and I don't see any news that came out, but maybe it's just a turn in technicals. It's a sharp, like, usually when you get a very quick, sharp decline all of a sudden, like this type of candle here, usually, and not always, but usually it's catalyst driven. Just because typically, like, catalysts and fundamental releases influence the market in a more sharp, profound way versus technicals. Technicals, you're not really going to see some huge, like, massive candle all of a sudden randomly out of nowhere, but it's not always the case. But this sharp little decline usually means something. Who knows, though? So things are slightly red today. One of the reasons is definitely because of the tariffs that are set to implement Wednesday. So recent events such as stuff going on overseas, as well as the U.S. president announcement to double tariffs on imported steel and aluminum to 50%, heightened uncertainties. They've been prompted investors to seek stuff like gold. That's why gold's pushing up. But yeah, 50% tariffs that are set to take effect Wednesday this week is what's freaking people out. And again, we got ISM Services PMI going live after the opening bell today too, so stick around. Yeah, Diamond was on Fox Business. He basically said a couple things. He said he wasn't going to step down for years. It's going to be a couple years until Diamond steps down. He says succession is several years away. Basically, he ain't stepping down. JP Morgan CEO Diamond also said U.S. deficit and debt is a big deal. That's basically it. He didn't really say anything else more profound than that. Definitely not anything that's going to move the markets 20 minutes later. Yeah, it could be insider stuff. If he resigns, would that increase the chances of rate cuts? Probably. Probably. Which is where this thesis is coming from, that him resigning is going to boost Bitcoin. Is the thesis behind that is more friendly economic stimulus, Yeah, we're now under the 200 exponential. Palantir's still up there, though. Gold's still trying. Nvidia's one we're still watching. Apple surged up a lot on Friday. Still testing $200, though. It'll cause panic. I don't know about that. I think typically people want rate cuts in this market. All right, the inflation rate in Eurozone likely fell to the ECB's medium-term target last month, according to analysts from Europe. All right, guys. So we're still sitting here slightly under the 200 exponential. I'm watching it to see if it holds resistance. I mean, the Fed is independent, but they can put pressure on them. Like, so the Federal Reserve and the U.S. government is independent. They are independent of each other. But you got to understand, they can put pressure. It's about pressure, right? So, like, they can put pressure on Powell in a number of different ways in which it could make him want to resign, right? That's what it would be. But I don't think it's going to happen. I think I think even the president has said he's not going to try to push that, you know. All right, so we're still under the 200 exponential here at 250. I'm watching gold as well. I want to see if this continues down. So people are asking me, how can he make Powell retire? He can publicly criticize him. He could talk to him behind the scenes. He could leverage on future appointments. He can take administrative action, which is he could find a legal precedent to do it. You know what I mean? So like, there's ways he could. He could put political and market pressure on him. You know what I mean? Like, there's all kind of ways he could pressure him to do it. All right, so we did reject here at the 200 exponential right here. On a 1 minute chart at 253s. Gold's still testing the high of the day here at 30. What is this? 33.90. I mean, I don't think this market necessarily needs a rate cut. I'm not saying that at all. I'm saying it. You could argue one. I think honestly this market is somewhere in the middle. The reason Powell says we're not cutting rates right now is because of inflation fears from the tariffs. You know, so like Powell's basically saying, hey, and these tariffs might spike inflation, and if we're in a low interest rate environment already, that's bad, right? We don't want inflation to spike again. And I kind of agree with that. I don't want inflation to spike again. I also could see how with contracting GDP data from the tariffs, that these tariffs can cause both economic weakness and inflation. And so it's somewhere in the middle. I think I worry the most about inflation, though, personally, because inflation erodes our buying power over time, and I'm scared of that, especially in the landscape of markets over the last 5 years where prices have gone freaking crazy. I don't want them to go crazy again. Nobody here should. You know, the president just wants a thriving economy under his watch, right, as a bragging point to his presidency. And I get it. I understand that aspect of it. That's all a game, and that's what he wants, and I get it. The problem is I'm worried about inflation spiking. I don't want inflation to spike again. And I also think the labor market has been kind of resilient, although right now with current GDP estimates, we're negative 0.2% for last quarter. This quarter, I think we're actually looking a little bit better, especially if you look at the Fed GDP now. Fed GDP now projected second quarter GDP is going to be around 3.8%. I don't think, honestly, GDP now seems wrong a lot of the time, though. Right? Like, just as an example, they had quarter one GDP for a long time at like minus 2.5% or something crazy, 2.2%, 2.3%, like super hyper negative numbers here. And now they have it almost 4% GDP growth. I think that's a little crazy too, but I think they're probably wrong on both ends of it. But the point is, they're projecting that the second quarter, which is the quarter we're currently in right now, it ends the end of this month in June. They're projecting this month is going to be some super positive GDP. And if that is true, we don't need to cut rates, right? So it's nuanced. I think we're somewhere in the middle right now. somewhere in the middle, where you could argue a rate cut. You might not argue a rate cut. Of course, the president's pushing for a rate cut because he wants a thriving economy, and but there's a cost to that thriving economy, and it's inflation. And so I'm not really one that roots for either side of the political spectrum. I'm very neutral. All I know is I fear inflation a lot, and yeah, so I'm somewhere in the middle. Tariffs raise prices? Well, yeah. Duh. Is the president speaking today? I'm not sure, but probably. But do you not need to react to the president? We have no idea what tariffs are going to do in the future, even if they come into effect. Right, but with that said, Keith, with that specifically said, right now, Fed GDP now projects second quarter GDP at 2.2% or 3.8%. I just looked at it. Look at this. So, GDP, the negative 0.2% GDP is for last quarter. They're projecting Atlanta Fed GDP now to be almost at 4%. And so if we're reacting to now, I think it's up in the air, Can you please tell us your opinion about NIO, the EV company? I mean, I like NIO kind of. I also think I'm not really going to bet on any of these up-and-coming pure EV brands because I think there's incredible amounts of risk for that. I think Tesla's fine, Rivian's okay. All the other ones I'm super sketched out about investing in, and justifiably so. If you look at NIO price, this thing does not have a good long-term chart. This thing does not have a good long-term chart. It's been downtrending since 2021, and I'm not about to buy it personally. Good luck though. If you want to buy it, do your thing, make some money. I'm just not about to buy NIO right now. Again, it's just too sketchy, in all honesty. That's just me though. It's subjective. I mean, if you like it, do your thing. All right, I'm gonna buy this right here though. We're going to start with one contract, though, and keep it very small, and then add to it if we get into the green on this one. Yeah, but the amount of people so NIO's technology is good and all. I'll give you guys the same thought experiment I always do with EVs. What is their customer base like? You could have the coolest EV in the world. I think Lucids are very cool. The issue is you don't have enough people that are interested in buying them to justify investing. EVs are expensive. Their margins are difficult. Because of that, there's not enough people that are investing in them to make me super interested. You know what I mean? And I don't want to buy a standalone EV brand unless it's one of the top ones, because there's a dilution of them, right? You got Mullen, you got Lucid, you got NKLA, you got NIO, you got all these different brands. You got Polestar, you got all these different brands that are trying to get into the EV space, and I don't think there's enough EV customers to go around. And so what that makes it is it makes it really top heavy, where the EV brands that do good are the ones at the very top. The ones that don't do good are all the other ones, right? And so That is the issue that I have specifically investing in NEO. And I think a lot of retail investors get talked into buying these companies. Like, and again, if you look at a Mullen, like retail freaking loved Mullen, MULN. And this is Mullen's long-term chart, bro. They freaking love this company. Ooh, Mullen. You know, it got pumped up. Look at this chart. Terrible chart. Nobody wants to buy a Mullen. That's the problem. They might want to buy the stock. Nobody wants to buy Mullen as a company, an actual EV from Mullen. You know why? Because nobody wants to buy a freaking National Lampoon's Vacation car that doesn't have the infrastructure and the support. Nobody wants to buy that, you know, and that's the issue. And so people, you know, you just got to think about, do they have enough customers that are interested in buying it? Maybe NEO does. Maybe it doesn't. I don't know. Hey, look at this trade. We're going to add to this now. Hey, we're going to take a piece off, lock it in. And then we're going to cut the rest up there. You'd love to see it. What a spike. We got the bounce there. We'll take it. Like, I get it. There's like a gold rush of, ooh, EVs. The ones that are going to be the most successful are the ones at the very top, as well as like the legacy brands that create EVs for their brand as well. And I'm not talking about like Volvo, where they're trying to create Polestar. If they would have just made Volvo EVs, people would buy them, right? But instead, they got to try to make Polestar, and you know, when you look at Polestar company, it's not really doing good either. It's $1 a share, so it just doesn't look interesting to me. And maybe I'm wrong, and maybe it runs up long term. I don't freaking know, bro. I'm not investing in it personally. Yeah, Bitcoin on a nice little pullback though. I mean, it kind of looks interesting here, but yeah, the other thing is that it's a Chinese brand, and I can't verify what they're actually doing. You know, like, I don't know how good they are. I can't watch that market effectively. You know, that's another reason I don't really like putting money in overseas stocks, because I can't vet it at all, you know. Yeah, look at this move here. Yeah, we're waiting on more updates here. We got ISM manufacturing data going out live today, though. We don't really have any earnings. FunStrats Tom Lee says Bitcoin is responding to global liquidity, which is moving up. There's a lot of upside, even 250K this year. I mean, I hope 250K this year. I don't know about that much, though. We'll see. It's always important to rein in expectations. Yeah, there's no way I'm sticking money in that stock, though, bro. I mean, it does have crazy gains. RGC, Region Cell Bioscience. The liquidity is just not good, though. Like, look at this thing. Crazy moves, though, honestly. But I'm not... yeah. This is just like, when is the train going to stop? When it stops, whoever's in it is going to get stuck. And so I'm not trying to really buy this. Too much risk. Yeah, maybe 130. I think that makes more sense. Ty, what's up, Ryan? Runner stopped out at break even. Yeah, Nvidia today still pretty quiet, but we're starting to get a pop here. Things are starting to head up. Apple looked pretty good today as well. Let me take a look at Apple stock. It had a good run yesterday, or Friday, I should say. Yeah. I thought it would be a good idea for a short position. Oh, I'm not shorting that thing at all, brother. No, I'm good. There's an infinite amount you can lose shorting that thing. I'm okay. Plus, it's going to be hard to locate, most likely, with that little liquidity. You know, like, you got to understand what shorting is. Look at Nvidia start to run here, though, guys. Wow. Nvidia's rebounding back up. Nasdaq's pushing up high. I mean, you got to understand what shorting is. Like, the people who are offering you shorts are long-term investors that are sitting in positions so long, they don't care what you do with their shares short-term, right? And so the people that are loaning you these shares to short are people who do not care what they're doing short-term, pun intended, I guess, right? And so an example of this would be like an Apple long-term investor that's sitting on Apple for 20 plus years. They don't care what Apple's doing intraday, and so they might loan you their shares to short. If it goes, they're going to earn a percentage for doing it, and they don't care what's going to happen long-term. And so when you're trying to locate shorts, those are the companies you're going to have the easiest time shorting, which means companies that have enough liquidity and long-term interest, right? And so when you look for stuff to short, these super obscure companies that have no liquidity, that are really recent movers, it's going to be incredibly difficult to find shorts available for those, as well as it's going to cost you a lot to short them, because they have so little people that are sitting on those things long term that you're going to have to pay if you want to short those things, you know, which means that the edge in shorting those are even less. You know, it's even harder to find an edge shorting those things, because not only do you have to locate shorts and pay out the, you know, for finding those shorts available, but it could also wildly squeeze against you, you know, and it's super unpredictable. And so it's a risky game, So just be careful. Yeah, 250 is a little ambitious for me too, to be honest, when I look at it. Yeah, all good, Jay. Yeah, I don't know why the NASDAQ pumped. It's probably following NVIDIA here. NVIDIA's shooting up. NVIDIA's had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 green candles on a 1 minute chart in a row. And so it's probably just sympathy moving up with NVIDIA. Yeah, the news is a little light today, though. All right, so we're now dipping down a little bit here. No, I mean, Radical, I don't really use Apex like that, though. You know. Yeah, it's LSU mug. This is my LSU mug today, guys. You know. Go Tigers, I guess. Yeah, go Tigers. All right, guys. Hey, we got 40 minutes until the market opens. We got this little dip. I kind of want to buy it. Let's try buying it here. All right, we'll take one contract. And then add to it if we get green like we did the last one. All right, we got 2 micro contracts here. We got a cushion that we can risk, I think. All right, we got 4 contracts here. Let's see if we retrace back up fast. That's what I want to see, but I'll have to wait for it. There we go. All right, I'm going to take half of this off just to protect it because it was quick. We'll sit on this a little bit longer, but I want to see if it pops up and gives me some good stuff for it, and then maybe we can add to it, but that's a big red candle too. We've been going up big and then down big. I'm watching NVIDIA here. NVIDIA's right under the previous closing price, and I want to see if NVIDIA goes green on the day. So I'm taking some risks here, but we're mostly green in pre-market. I'm going to add one more here. See if we can get the pop back up now, since we're at the bottom. We're kind of sideways in a big range here is what we are, but there we go. That's better. Okay. Honestly, I'm worried this is going to turn on me because this looks like it might turn down. So we lost a little bit if we exit here, but I think I'm going to hold it and give it a second, but just be prepared to cut it quick if it turns on me. Maybe it doesn't. Maybe it keeps pushing up. Yeah, I'm going to cut it here. It just looks like it's going to turn on me. So we ended up getting out, lost a little bit there, but that's okay. Yeah, I don't know what Powell's going to talk about. We'll see. Hey, what's up, Chef? I mean, I don't know what it's going to do. I think it's closer to the mid-range, but it's still pretty freaking flat. Like, if we zoom out here, the market has been up and down and up and down and up and down. We're kind of middle range now here. Like, this is right the middle range. So we could go up here. We could go down. The 200 exponential is underneath it here, but who freaking knows, man? I'm just glad I'm green on the day. Powell speaks at 1 o'clock Eastern Standard Time today. 1 o'clock. I'm on a 1 minute chart on this one, but I'm also looking at it on a 5 minute chart. So yeah, I know there's the rumor that Powell is stepping down. I don't know if I think he is. All right, so we have the U.S. Department Treasury Secretary Falkender. He said some trade deals should be imminent. He said, I think we'll see deals before July 9th. What? Bro, that's like over a month away, dude. Didn't y'all say some deals were coming this week or last week? What happened? July 9th? Dude, that's a long time away, brother. This thing, the speech with Powell has been planned for the last few days. So, I mean, he's been planning the speech for a minute now. All right, we got about 30 minutes until the opening bell. We'll see what we get. Nvidia is still dipping data, although I do think Nvidia might make a test towards the... I'm going to try buying this again, but I want to see if Nvidia makes a test. We're going to start with one contract here, which is something we've been doing, is buying one. Been trying to add to it. I want to see if Nvidia shoots up and retest this previous closing price ahead of the opening bell in 35 minutes. And so if we could buy one here and get a nice little follow through on the upside, that's great. If not, it's a very small position so far. We'll see if we get anything good. Yeah, I don't think he's going to quit, though. Like, I'll end this poll. We're going to do another poll here. Are you bullish or bearish for today's opening bell? Let me know what you guys think there. All right, so we did a poll. We asked people, do they think Jerome Powell's going to stay through his term? 75% say yes, 25% say no. Hey, look at this spike. That's nice. Do I want to add to it? Sure. Okay, we'll add to it. There we go. All right, we're going to take half off there, lock it in. We're going to cut this one pretty quickly out of there here. So not bad. Nice little spike up here. I don't know if there's a justification for this move, but I don't see any other breaking news here, though, so I don't think we have anything really going on. Okay, so the peace talks overseas have now concluded, they're saying. All right, look at the NASDAQ push. Palantir pushing. Again, NVIDIA pushing up, so. No, I didn't see it, Sam. I'll check it out. All right, look at this push up. We're at 285s now. Hey, thank you, Jeremiah. My guy, thank you, brother, for becoming a member. Appreciate it, bro. All right, so there's 9 a.m. chat. It's 9 a.m. Effective federal funds rate unchanged at 4.33% for Friday. Yeah, a lot of stuff going on overseas. There's a big event overseas with Russia over the weekend. I can't get too specific. I don't comment on conflict stuff, but yeah, so the market's pricing out the peace deal that the president has been working on for months now. After the stuff that happened over the weekend, conflict-wise. Look at the NASDAQ rip up here. NVIDIA now, again, so this is kind of my original thesis. I thought NVIDIA would push up and try to go green on the day before the opening bell. I didn't think it would happen this quickly, but I think this is one of the reasons the NASDAQ is pushing up with it as well. You know, I think if we try to look at what sympathy moves are happening, Palantir's pushing up, Apple trying, Meta trying, Microsoft, AMD going green. So I think the market's just following up NVIDIA trying to go green on the day. It got really close to that previous close and then pulled back some, and so I think it made sense to buy the dip. And like, I've had a couple people that are like, oh bro, why are you going long right here? We're over the 200 exponential. You know, you got to think about it like this. The NASDAQ is made up of all these other stocks. You know what I mean? Like, the NASDAQ is made up of all these other things. And so sometimes you'll get like a lag here where NVIDIA will push up and then the NASDAQ will start to push up. And so if I can find a situation and makes it really probable that NVIDIA is going to push higher short term, I might buy the NASDAQ leading into it and take advantage of that push up. You know, it's how you can kind of get exposure to stocks and futures. Even though I'm not day trading stocks directly, I'm looking at their movements and I'm basing some of my trades around their movements versus just looking at patterns in an index. And I think that makes a lot more sense. They're pricing that deal not going through, Phil, is what it is. So they're pricing in that deal not happening because of the stuff that happened conflict-wise overseas over the weekend. Yeah, that might be true, Sam. Yeah, all good. Yeah, we're pretty 50-50 split or bull-bear pull. 50% are bullish, 50% are bearish. So, pretty split. I mean, yeah. And again, we'll see if NVIDIA starts to get back over this previous closing price. It kind of dipped back down some now. We got 25 minutes left. There's just so much political posturing that's happening in markets right now. You know, here's the interesting dynamic, though, for markets, chat, is like a lot of people have been saying Jerome Powell needs to get removed. The issue I have is that Okay, so we're coming from 2020, right? In 2020, inflation spiked up to like 9.1% for CPI. Right, 9.1% CPI. It's not 2020. I'm sorry. This was by 2022 because of all the economic stimulus we got from 2020 in the Federal Reserve. Inflation spiked up to 9.1%, and so, and then the big criticism here was for the Fed here in this situation. People said, "Hey, the Fed did too much economic stimulus. Like, they cut rates. Why'd they cut rates?" Like, what you realize is that people are going to complain regardless of what happens. Like, people are going to cry about it regardless of what happens. If the Fed cuts rates and does quantitative easing and prints money and influences the economy and stimulates the labor market, people are going to say, "Hey, bro, you caused CPI inflation to spike up to 9.1%. What the heck, bro?" Then, if the Fed says, "Hey, let's not cut rates," they're going to say, "Oh, Jerome Powell, how dare he not cut rates?" It's like, bro, people cry if you do, they cry if you don't. Honestly. I'm scared of inflation. I don't want inflation to spike again. Everybody here should be fearful of inflation. Like, I get it. He wants to cut rates to make the labor market look good right now. I would say most people are unhappy today because of inflation over everything else. And that's where people get misled, right? Like, you're probably unhappy today because of inflation. If things aren't affordable for you, it's inflation. Think about how unaffordable things are. I hear people talking about housing. You know what's going to make everything more expensive is economic stimulus, And I hear people pushing for QE. I don't get it. I really don't understand. Like, why do we need QE right now? Again, maybe I'm wrong. I don't freaking know. Like, I would rather us just have price stability for a few years, I don't know if he's done a good job. I'm not going to comment on that. What I do know is, like, I'm not necessarily in disagreement with him regarding rates right now, because I'm scared of inflation over everything else. But everybody's different, man. Like, people have different experiences, and so I can't really judge. I'm somewhere in the middle, but still. Yeah, I agree with you. We could end QT as well. I'm for ending quantitative tightening. But the issue is that I would be okay if we continued QT, but then cut rates, balance it, I think it's different people crying for different reasons. I don't know. I see people get it wrong a lot. I see people say, "Hey, inflation's getting worse. We should cut rates." And I hear the opposite end of it. I hear people say, "Oh, yeah, I hear people say, "Oh, the economy's weak. Let's raise rates." You know what I mean? Like, I hear people say the opposite of what they should be saying a lot here. And so I think people are just genuinely misunderstood, and I think they're influenced a lot by politicians. So, like, if they like a politician and he says, "Let's do one thing," they're like, "Oh, we should do that thing." I don't know if that's necessarily true here. You got to understand the bias of everybody. And I think, like, the president's bias is he wants a strong economy as a bragging point. So he can say, "Hey, during my presidency, we had XYZ," right? That's what he wants. The issue is that how much is it going to contribute to higher inflation? And I think you could also argue a rate cut right now. I don't think it's polarized so deeply in one direction in which you couldn't argue the other side of it. But in my opinion, I call that neutral. Like, that's neutral as a decision. That's a neutral thing. It's not like people are acting like we're so polarized towards needing rate cuts that it's crazy that we're not cutting rates, and that's not true either. We got inflation problems right now. Inflation has been rampant for 5 years. And so it's not an easy decision. It's not a super one-sided decision like, oh, it's obvious we should cut rates. I don't think that's true. And it's not a super obvious decision like, hey, we shouldn't cut rates either. I think it's somewhere, it's ambiguous right now. And so you just got to be smart and understand the bias of each end. And I don't know. Personally, I fear inflation, but I guess you could argue a rate cut right now as well based off of GDP. Although GDP projections for this current quarter, like I said, are pretty positive. Like Fed GDP now has it at 3.8% GDP quarter 2, 2025, which is the quarter we're currently in right now. So yeah, it's back and forth. .5 is not far from 2%. Yeah, I don't think the inflation rate that we have now is bad currently. But what Jerome Powell says is the justification for us not to cut rates is because he's worried that the tariff fears and the incoming tariff inaction is going to make inflation spike worse. And so it's not about what we're at right now. It's about what we're heading towards is his argument. I think right now, again, like I said, you could argue rate cuts based off of current PCE, core PCE inflation being close to 2% inflation target. You know, and 2.5% is not bad inflation. Like, that's reasonable inflation growth. It's just something where they're basically saying that inflation might get worse, and if it does, then you got bigger problems. And that's true, you know. I just think in a period like right now, following massive inflation issues for 5 years, I think in the period following that, we need to be incredibly careful not to make inflation get worse, and we need to make price stability the main priority. Yeah, they got their dual mandate, thriving labor market, low inflation. I get it. That's hard to do, but I get it. I don't think it's easy to do though. No, we're not in the second half of the year yet. The second half of the year starts at the end of this month in June. Tom Lee says Bitcoin should have the same network value as gold at 23 trillion at minimum. Bitcoin could be 2 to 3 million long term or even higher. 95% of all Bitcoin has been mined. 95% of the world does not own Bitcoin. Huge demand supply imbalance. Markets are honestly pretty sideways pretty sideways. They're not really doing anything. Like, we got some stuff moving up, but like, here's the NASDAQ so far today. It's been big range, honestly, but pretty freaking sideways. Up, down, up is what we're currently in right now. So it's pretty neutral. Although big range for sure. And again, we got Jerome Powell in a couple hours. We'll see what that looks like. Hey, what's up, Ada? Yeah, no, like I said, man, I think the Atlanta Fed GDP now is wildly wrong sometimes. Like, wildly wrong. And again, here's their model. You can kind of see, again, as of May 30th, which is last Friday, latest estimate is 3.8% quarter 2 GDP. I think it's kind of ridiculous, but we'll see, you know. Yeah, we got ISM manufacturing PMI today for sure. Yeah, so we got ISM manufacturing PMI data at 10 o'clock today. We'll see what happens, but we're going to cover the opening bell. We got a regular one. Yeah, so we have like a regular manufacturing PMI at 9:45. Still coming back down a little bit. We got 13 minutes before the market opens here. I would buy this dip if it wasn't so sideways. I'm worried it's going to come back down here, but we're at the 200 exponential, which is close to the bottom of the range. I don't know if it's deeper enough, though. We also have NVIDIA rejecting at the 200 exponential here. Hey, what's up, S? Appreciate it, brother. Thank you. Yeah, chat. So we're hanging out. We got 12 minutes, 11 minutes into the opening bell. We'll see what we get at the open. We're getting close to this 200 exponential. Like I said, I would buy this. Where's gold at? Is gold still pushing up? Oh, it hit highs of 33.89s or so today, but nothing yet. Oh, man. We just tapped that 200 exponential. We got 10 minutes left into the open. Very choppy morning. For the rest of this week, we got busy stuff, though. We got unemployment, non-farm payrolls, jobless claims, ISM data, services data. Services data is pretty big, too, tomorrow. We got the JOLTS job report tomorrow as well. So we got some stuff. We got Jerome Powell speaking at 1 o'clock today, which we'll stream. So we got a spike up here, though, at the 200 exponential. Right ahead of the opening bell. 9 minutes. See if we creep up at the opening bell or what happens here. Yeah, we got conflict news that's kind of causing some pessimism, I would say, over the weekend. Do you consider the EMA more accurate than the SMA? I don't know about more accurate. It just depends on how you play it, in all honesty. Everybody's different. Like, I like the 200 exponential on a 1 minute chart. That's like one of my favorite levels. You can kind of see it right here too, and how well markets can react to it. Like, look at this: 200 EMA, 200 EMA. It's not perfect. 200 EMA, 200 EMA here, yeah, but it's not perfect. I don't need it to be though. Like, I want it to respect it more than it doesn't. You know. 8 minutes. Yeah, we're almost open. Let's see if we do anything now. Yeah, so we got this big dip here. Back down. But again, I kind of think we're sideways right now in markets. Hey, what's up? Happy Monday, brother. Yeah, oil, like if we take a look at oil output increased, but for some reason oil's spiking up on it as well, which is kind of the opposite of how it should behave. That was one of the big catalysts this morning, is that oil, even despite the output increase, which dilutes oil, oil's still spiking up despite it, you know. Brent's approaching 65 a barrel despite OPEC Plus announcing a big production increase of 411,000 BPD for July. So that's going on. All right, guys, 5 minutes. Powell speech today. Yeah, we got one at 1 o'clock. So we have Powell speaking at 1 o'clock today. I don't know how much is going to move markets, but we're going to cover it regardless. We'll see. Honestly, we're kind of flat and sideways here. I just want to wait for the opening bell to take any big trades. We got ourselves a nicely green day ahead of the opening bell, but that's my phone. Yeah, I don't think Powell's going to say rate cut, personally, but who knows? If he does, market might pump. That's true. All right, guys, we got less than 3 minutes, about two and a half minutes into the opening bell. All right. Yeah, I mean, the Jerome Powell news, it's interesting, but it's also kind of, you always got to question. It came from crypto sources on social media, and they're always trying to influence the market with some nonsense rumor. They kind of pump and dump things with rumors sometimes, and I think that could be what this is, but you never know. I mean, there might be some validity to it, but you never know. Yeah, Nvidia just popped green on the day, so Nvidia's slightly green. Market's pretty boring though right now. We got less than a minute until the open. Or no, we got about a minute. Exactly a minute, sorry. Yep. All right, guys. NASDAQ, push it up. We got 20 seconds. Make sure you hit the live button next to the play button. Make sure you're fully caught up on stream. We appreciate it. We got ISM manufacturing PMI data going live at 10 o'clock today. We got regular manufacturing PMI 9:45. Although I don't know how much that one's going to move markets. We'll have to wait and see. All right, guys. So there's the bell. NASDAQ pushed up, though. Look at that. Look at the NVIDIA spike, too. So NVIDIA running a little bit at the open. So is NASDAQ. Palantir is up there as well. A lot of tech stocks flying up right now, chat. A lot of tech stocks are moving. All right, we're at 330s right now. 330s. NVIDIA getting up to this level here. Look at this. What a move. See if it holds. Palantir up big. Nvidia up big. Still running here. I lost my Combine account. It's okay. In the background. We should let me reset it right here, though. That'd be nice. Alright, so we're pushing up. We're at 350s. I'm just trading this because I want to wait 5 minutes after the opening bell. But honestly, bro, look at Apple. Apple up to 202s. The high of the last few days is right at 202s. Yeah, APLD, Applied Digital. All right, we're going to pivot back to trading our funded account this morning. It's a big move here, though. Kind of crazy. And again, guys, we're day trading on Top Step's funded account program right now. Nvidia getting up to this big previous high up there, 137.40s, 137.40s. We'll see if that holds. Huge green action at the opening bell, though. Canadian S&P manufacturing came in at 46. It's too up there for me to want to short this, though, man. This is too up. Let's draw some levels here, I guess. Here's 400s. Here's 50s. We got this high right there. Why is the NASDAQ going higher? No idea, brother. All right, so we hit 415s. We're back down to 4s. I'm going to try to let this calm down before I attack anything here. Yeah, Nvidia shooting up. I mean, it's probably following Nvidia. Nvidia up to 137s, almost 140s again. So... Again, if you want to check out Top Step, I'll put the link up one more time. It's a great way to learn. It's a much better way than funding your own account thousands of dollars and learning, risking thousands of dollars. It just makes no sense to do that. Instead, learning in a structured environment like this makes sense. They give you a 50K demo. They test your skill. If you pass the test, they fund you. If you fail, you lose what you pay for it. The monthly subscription's $50 a month for the base one. It's a tiny amount relative to losing thousands funding your own account. And they pay out millions, hundreds of millions, really. They fund thousands. Once you're funded, you get a 90% split. You get to keep your first 10K. It's very similar to funding your own account. If you fail, you lose $50 base one, $100 for the middle one, $150 for the top one. It's just a much less risk than funding your own account and losing that most of the time, at least. And again, if you use my link, go to TopStepX. Zero commission, no PDT in futures. Great way to learn how to day trade. There's the link right there. Remember, they're an affiliate of mine, though. I'm biased. I get paid by them. Top 3 most biased trader of all time ever in the world. Don't copy me. I'm not an investment professional. I'm not liable if you lose. Understand CFTC 4.41. Hypothetical or simulated performance have limitations. We'll see if the market rejects this level here. But again, we're a little too strong for me to want to short it. A little bit too up there for me to want to buy it. All right, so we did dip a little bit at this 415, 420 level here. I'm letting it settle down before I day trade my actual funded account here. The opening bell's a little bit too volatile for me to want to go crazy with. Let's see if we hold at 400 here. I don't know. We'll see. Ooh. Still rip it up. Look at this high break here in markets. We're waiting, though. I'm not really trading this yet. It's a little too crazy for me. Nvidia's still pushing up, trying to break this big level here, though. It's a big level. All right, we're at 443s. Look at this, man. Palantir still ripping up too. Remember, in 7 minutes, we have regular manufacturing PMI data. Regular manufacturing PMI data. I don't know how much it's going to move things, but in 7 minutes, we do have some stuff going live. Hey, later, Sam. Have a good day, brother. I'm going to short this now. We're up enough to where I can take one micro contract and see if we can retrace enough to catch a little short. Very quick, though. Very small risk. We're basically flat right now. One micro contract. See if we can pull back to like 415s is what I want, but there we go. There we go. I'm going to go ahead and cut it right there. Just get out. I don't want to try to ride away from the trend. Like, if I'm attacking a counter trend strategy, it needs to be quick. So, that's what we're doing here. All right, so we're dipping down a little bit. Yeah, we're checking back here. All right, so we honestly maybe should have held that short position we call it right at the top. I wanted to see if it pulled back to 415. You can see this level right here. I want to see if this is where we bounce. But I'll wait. It's all good. All right, chat. Maybe we didn't bounce at 415. Let's see about 400. Here's 400 here. So if there's a pullback level, this one doesn't seem terrible. Hey, nice, Matt. Hey, great is good, brother. Great is good, man. Let's see if we bounce at 400. That's what I'm looking at. I've only gotten to one trade since the open, but... All right, chat, listen. The reason I'm going to wait right now is because in 2 minutes here, in about 1 minute here, we got regular manufacturing PMI data. Now, we'll see how much this moves the market, but who knows how much it will. It might, it might not. We'll see. There's the 400 bounce. We probably got it. 400 right here. So close enough to it. But we got 1 minute before manufacturing PMI. The big ones is at 10 a.m. chat, just to clarify. So the big manufacturing PMI is at 10. Just, you know. All right, there's the bounce. All right, 30 seconds, chat, 30 seconds. We'll see what manufacturing PMI shows. It's expected today at 52.3 for regular manufacturing PMI for May. The big one is ISM, though, at 10. But 52.3 is what's expected. Ten seconds. All right, 5 seconds. All right, so there's the report. PMI ended up showing up. Let me see if it's reflected yet. Nope, nothing yet. Waiting for it. Might be late. Waiting for it here. We got a negative reaction so far, though. Let's see if we... Yeah, I don't see it yet. Okay, it showed up at 52 versus 52.3. 52 versus 52.3. So a little bit weaker than expected for manufacturing, but nothing super significant. All right, so now we're starting to head back down here. I don't know if I want to buy this. Again, the big one drops in about 10 minutes, or 15 minutes, 14 minutes. All right, so the ISM PMI data that drops in 15 minutes is expected at 49.3. All right, so the previous one was 48.7. Man, the market does not like this, although it's only slightly weaker. We came in at 52 now. Although I do like I don't mind buying this dip. We're going to try buying it down here and see if we can maybe get into a couple micro contracts on this pullback here. See if we get a retracement. There's one. There we go. And we're going to cut it there too. All right, so we're up over 100 nicely on the day here. That's a nice little retracement right at the peak bottom right there. So we got it in out quick, but that's okay. Yeah, and this is our funded account. We're doing pretty good on our funded account. ISM is the Institute of Supply Management. It's just a more significant economic report than regular S&P Global Manufacturing. The Institute of Supply Management, ISM data, is a little bit more valid, a little bit more influential in markets. No, cry about it all, Mac. It's all good. You'll be okay. Yeah, cry about it. You'll be all right. All right, so NASDAQ ended up retracing really nicely, but we got out. It looks like we got out just in time, too, because we ended up bouncing back very quickly. Very quickly, so... Or coming back down, I mean, very quickly. We're running into fours here. Again, I think the market might be choppy ahead of manufacturing PMI data. I'm not 100% sure, but I think we might be choppy ahead of it. Look at NVIDIA bounce at the VWAP, though, at 136.40s. It started to head back up. Yeah, I mean, it's all love, all Mac. But cry about it if you don't like it. I'm not changing it, you know. It's not like I use one news source either. Like, I use multiple different sources, and I figure out which one posts it the earliest, and then I cover that. You know what I mean? Like, that's pretty simple. Y'all can do the same thing. It doesn't matter. But if I sell cupcakes, am I going to give the recipe out for the cupcakes to people who ask for it? No. Get out of here. Figure it out yourself. Make your own cupcakes, you know? I'm going to quote that. That's going to be my new slogan. Make your own cupcakes. All right, so we're dipping down. We're at 350s right now. 350s. Let's see if we bounce right here. But this is a big dip. Looks like I got out just in time. I caught the only bounce that we made over the last 10 minutes, and then we got out. All right, there's 350s. We bounced right at this level now, too. NVIDIA's pushing up, though. That's the only thing that I don't like about it. Bro, get out of here with this. The most insulting thing, like, bro, you would be surprised at how many people message me. And they're like, hello, would you like to earn money from your YouTube channel? It's like, get out of here, bro. Could you imagine thinking I don't earn money for this? Y'all think I'm spending 5 hours a day for free? Get out of here with that, bro. Like, try to piggyback off of it. Come on now. Any other news today? Yeah, we got ISM manufacturing news at 9 o'clock. We got Jerome Powell coming out a little later. So just be ready. We're going to cover that too. Yeah, it's all good, all Mac. I'm just kind of messing with you because I have to. No, I'm talking about, I got another guy that just messaged me and he was like, hey, do you want to earn money from your YouTube channel? Yes. All right, so look at this dip here, chat. Wow. We're coming all the way back down. Does big money know something ahead of ISM manufacturing PMI data is my question. Is it Tesla? Hold on, let me see. Is this Tesla's downfall? Yeah, Tesla's going down. Tesla turns start getting weak. It could be the manufacturing PMI data. So look, just to clarify, like look at this, right? Manufacturing PMI showed up right here on Tesla's chart. Right here. That's exactly when Tesla started downtrending. And I think ahead of ISM manufacturing PMI, what people are concluding here is that ISM manufacturing PMI might not be as favorable for Tesla as people want it to be. And so Tesla's turning down in anticipation of ISM manufacturing PMI data. That's what I'm thinking is happening here, is that ISM data goes out at 10. Did he really, Towers? Nah, I don't see him. Not that I'm showing here. Yeah, we're starting to go down. Yeah, Aquafina. Aquafina scammers. You know what, John from Beginner Trading? We want to sponsor you here at Aquafina. Like, imagine me selling water on my live stream. I even had one that pretended to be Doritos. Like, hey guys, we're sponsored by Doritos. Like, get out of here. Like, come up with a better scam. Like, at least tune it towards the industry you're in. You know, anybody that comes at me saying they want to sponsor me and they're a water company. Like, imagine somebody buying water from me and not Walmart. You know? Ridiculous, man. Tesla's still coming down, 340s. Yeah, I don't think Jerome Powell's resigning today. He might, though, but I don't think he's going to. All right, Chad, we got 5 minutes here. 5 minutes. Tesla's still breaking down. I think the Tesla move here is from manufacturing PMI. Again, look at this. So, manufacturing PMI showed up here. You know? Like, people act like the data I cover is just irrelevant, but that's where manufacturing PMI showed up right there. Weaker than expected. Weaker than expected manufacturing data. What does Tesla do? They manufacture cars. You know, and I think what's going on is at 10 a.m., we got ISM data, manufacturing data coming out. And if that's bad, maybe we're going to have some movement to Tesla stock. I don't know. But that's kind of what's going on here. Tesla's starting to turn. Weak manufacturing data making people pessimistic about the company, I'm assuming. But what are the chances of an emergency rate cut? With Powell in place, not much. 4 minutes left. 4 minutes until ISM data comes out, chat. All right, we went up to 350, rejected here. Is Tesla going to keep dragging the market down ahead of this data? All right, chat, 3 minutes. Hit the live button next to the play button. Make sure you're fully caught up on the stream. Chat, just to clarify. Hit the live button next to the play button. Also, give me a follow at Beginner Trades. We cover all this stuff live as soon as it happens. At Beginner Trades. You want to see the breaking news in markets? Hit the live button next to the play button. Follow me at Beginner Trades. We appreciate it. We got 3 minutes, 2 minutes, and 45 seconds or so. Where'd my music? Hold on. I got too many windows here. No, that's not where it's at. No, that's not it either. No, that's not it. Oh, there's the music. Okay. Hey, nice, Mo. Good job, brother. All right, Tesla just cracked lows again. It's kind of dragging the market down. Look at Tesla fall. Bad manufacturing data scared Tesla. So we got a minute and 20 seconds, chat. A minute and 20 seconds. All right, chat. ISM manufacturing data expected at 49.3. It drops in about 1 minute and 10 seconds. Hit the live button next to the play button. Make sure you're fully caught up on stream here. We got Jerome Powell later. 1 o'clock. We got ISM manufacturing PMI going live in about a minute. You can also put it in 2x speed. But Tesla's been breaking down since the release of the S&P Global Manufacturing Report that was weaker than expected. And Tesla, who manufactures things, started dropping and breaking lows, dragging the market back down with us here. We'll see if the ISM data reflects this same weakness and that this propels Tesla down more, which is possible. All right, chat, 40 seconds, 40 seconds. $30 seconds. Look at us bouncing by levels, though. Like, they're not perfect. They don't always work, but look at that. Look at that. All right, 20 seconds, chat. 15. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. ISM manufacturing PMI 48.5, 48.5 versus 49.3 expected, weaker than expected as well. Big Money must have known this, seen this coming. 48.5 versus 49.3 expected. Market reacted negatively. Tesla broke lows again. And yeah, the thesis was right. Weak manufacturing data scared markets, and now we're dropping here. Again, ISM manufacturing PMI 48.5 versus 49.3 expected. Previous was 48.7, so weaker than last time, weaker than expected. NASDAQ did dump down a little bit on this report. We did just drop a little bit on this report. Tesla cracked lows some on this report. And look at this red candle showing up in markets on this PMI data here, guys. Listen, we cover it faster than everybody else. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. You know you want to. Look at this red action showing up. Tesla cracking lows, dragging the market back down. We're at 250s now. 21 250s. Again, 48.5 versus 49.3 expected. Prices showed up at 69.4 versus 70.2 expected. Everything basically turned down, including Tesla specifically here. Look at this drop. So weaker manufacturing data and output making markets fall down a little bit here. Tomorrow we have services and jolts. So tomorrow we actually have a little bit larger reports than today. Yep. We got Powell at 1 o'clock too. So look at this weakness showing up, man. Markets are tumbling down here. Tumbling down. We're already up a decent amount today. So we'll see what we get moving forward. But just be careful. That's what I'm saying. You want a place to watch all this stuff, subscribe, hit the notification bell. We appreciate it. Again, if you want to check out Top Step, beautiful way to learn how to day trade. Most day traders lose. If you put up your own thousands of dollars funding your own account, you're probably going to lose your whole account. Let's just be honest, especially in the beginning. Most day traders lose. Doesn't matter where you go, what course you take, who you follow, you're probably going to lose. Instead of risking that much, instead try Top Step. It gives you a middle ground of pressure, teaches you how to trade it kind of like a boot camp. And if you pass the test, they fund you $50K, $100K, $150K with a 90% split, and you get to keep your first $10K prior to that split kicking in. Look at this rebound coming up, chat. So we're rebounding all the way back up here. But if you fail, you're out $50, $100. It's not the end of the world. It's limited risk, similar reward to funding your own account, and they pay out hundreds of millions. They fund thousands. We're day trading the S&P and the NASDAQ and the Dow. Exactly what we're kind of predictable based off of what we thought the report would show up as. You can see the movements here. This is what we've been day trading today. You can day trade the NASDAQ, the S&P, the Dow, the Russell. If you use my link, go to TopStepX. 0 commission, no PDT rule. Great way to learn. And I'll put the link up here. Great way to help support the channel. There's the link. They're an affiliate of mine. I get paid by them, though, so I'm biased for sure. Top 3 most biased ever. Not an investment professional. I'm not liable if you lose. Make your own assessment. Trade smart. Can't guarantee anything. Understand CFTC 4.41. All this stuff on screen. With that said, look at this rebound showed up. Do we want to short it? All right, I'm going to short it just real quick. Real quick. Quick short. We got a rejection. Let's see if we can continue here. We're flat. There we go. We're green. All right, we're going to cut it right there. We made a little bit enough from it to where we're just kind of getting in and out. We'll take it. Where there were contractions in manufacturing is what it was for sure. There were contractions for sure. The thing about PMI is like below 50, contracting economy. Contracting manufacturing sector is more so what it is. So below 50 is a contracting manufacturing sector. Above 50 is an expanding manufacturing sector. And so with manufacturing PMI showing up under 50, the expected number was under 50. Last time was under 50, and we showed up weaker than the expected and weaker than last time here for manufacturing data. That is why the market does not like this data. But most of the move, I think, was baked in prior. Like we're kind of flat from where the report actually came out, but most of this move was baked in prior. What happened is people gauged regular manufacturing PMI, the S&P Global Manufacturing PMI, and they used that to conclude that they thought the ISM PMI would be weaker than expected. And so what you saw here is at 9:45 when the original manufacturing PMI showed up here, S&P Global, everybody started reacting negatively to Tesla. They started reacting negatively to the NASDAQ. And then ISM data showed up here. And we're still down from that one as well. But they kind of led it a little bit, which makes sense. That made sense. All right, chat. Listen, we'll be back live in a couple hours. In a couple hours, we'll be back live. I love you all. Y'all be safe in this market, chat. Remember, be safe. Anything can happen in these markets, so just try not to lose. And yeah, I'll see you guys later. Y'all be good. Be back in a few hours with Powell. Have a great day. See you, chat. Be safe.